Welcome to Now Serving a Site of Therapy, a client's introductory guide into the therapeutic world. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. To schedule a therapy appointment, call us at 650-223-5065. For more information on this and other related topics, check out our blog at isotherapy.com, where you can also contact us through our website. I'm your host, Dalton Huckabee, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm grateful you've joined me.
There's coaches, tutors, counselors, who else? Trainers, strength coaches. Like, there's a whole team to help these people out, and if we forget that, then, like I said, we just see them as machines that can do like this one thing. And if they don't do this one thing, then they're not, they're not. They should be thrown out with the junk.
To be extreme, their value seems to go to crap, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where you're saying that, hey, this values-based approach helps us see that there's more to us than this.
And I want to say that there are coaches that really see their athletes as whole people, and it is amazing to see, because you can see that the athletes, they really care about being on that team and playing for that coach. Because that coach speaks life into them and sees them as people and not just as these machines that perform for him, him or her, so yeah. I love it when they can just see athletes as whole people.
Because like you said, like the game time mentality might be different, right? There's not always, there's a time to put that to let that have a break so that we can be in a different way in other parts of our lives.
And that will help during game time too. Like, if we take care of this now, trust me, it will help when the game time comes. So, yeah.
Yep. And so in addition to values, how would you say like self-sabotaging comes into play? Because I know you've done some posts around that as well. So I'm kind of curious of your insights on that. People may have heard the word saboteurs, or like self-sabotage, right? And so, but we always like to define things too, right? So when we look at, and I'm getting this from positiveintelligence.com, where you can go and take a saboteur quiz and find out what your saboteurs are. I've done it several times myself. And so, but saboteurs are the voices in our head that generate negative emotions as we handle life's everyday challenges. They represent automatic patterns in our mind for how we think, feel, and respond. Saboteurs can cause stress, anxiety, self-doubt, frustration, restlessness, and unhappiness, and they can sabotage our performance, well-being, and our relationships.
Absolutely.
And so again, they're intended, right? They were created at a certain point in our life for a very specific reason, typically to help us feel safe or secure, for example, right? But then kind of like we were talking about earlier, like there's a point to where they start becoming more of a hindrance than a support. And then that's where we want to start looking at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was when I went to grad school. Actually, it was probably even before that too. Every class I went into, I was probably maybe one of two Black people in the class, and these were college classes. So there were a lot of folks, and grad school too. Grad school, there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 20.
He's like, I can literally count them on one hand.
Yeah. So it's like, I literally had the thought of, do I belong here? Like, and of course, when I take a step back, it's like, of course I do. I even and she was mad at me. The admin who like uh picks who's gonna come into the grad program. I was talking to her, and I said, "So did I meet your quota for Black people?" And she got so mad. I was like, "Oh, I'm not like serious," and she's like, "No, you are here because you deserve to be here. You did all the work. You are supposed to be here." And maybe that was subconsciously me trying to, you get that validation,
Sure,
um,
sure.
but yeah, that can creep up though. Do I belong here? Am I supposed to be doing this? And it really goes back to like, why did I start to do this in the first place? And was this for me or was this for someone else? And when we are doing things like bigger things like career, sports, and stuff, um, when we do those things for other people and not for us, then those thoughts will creep in a lot. Because it's not really what we want to be doing anyway. um, and those thoughts can creep in too, even when we want to do these things. But like I said, it's going back to why we want to do these things in the first place, and going back to that, like what is our goal here? What
Our
has been our
intention,
goal?
right? Our
Yeah,
intention. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what I was thinking when you were talking about that story is that representation matters,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And when you're talking about modeling, like especially now that you're working with kids, like kids may not be able to recognize grief and loss or
No.
values, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like being able to be that person who can represent this other way of being
Yeah,
and modeling that for them can be like again a great resource and support system for them that they didn't even know was like a need to fill.
absolutely. I will say almost not every single time, probably like 90% of the time when I get a new client, the parents always say, "We've been looking for you." Like we've been,
What?
yes, we've been looking for a Black male therapist and someone who has some sports background, and you fit all of that. And I'm
Well, if
like,
I
well,
hear of
cool.
anyone looking for that, I will be sure to send them your way.
Yeah, yeah, and it is amazing. Sometimes I feel the, pressure, but I will say I love being that support that these kids can look to and say, "Oh, here's a guy that looks like me, and is talking about feelings and uh, um, what else?
And
What else going
challenges and
on?
obstacles and
And
barriers,
and
right?
like
Especially
saying
barriers
like it's
too.
okay to not be okay and all that stuff. Like it's so important for kids, but people to just see like, yeah, this is like we are human beings, and as a male, society says be a man, suck it up, and that is through not just, with us here in the US, but throughout the world. That like mindset is so strong. And so when you have somebody like me who's, yeah, I'm a straight male, and I am telling you that feelings are important to talk about, and that it is okay to not be okay, and that we should validate and like, do all these things, and it's important to not see it as like, oh, you're just being weak. It's like, how is facing this challenging thing weak? It's actually you being very strong if you face this challenge. And like, once we dispel this idea of, when you talk about feelings, it's you being weak, nobody cares. When we dispel that and we settle in, then that's when the real work happens and people change, and like, lives are saved. There are so I have seen probably over 300 kids in my career, and this
Uh-huh.
is from my practice and my work with the Y, and my work from before that. So I hope every kid that I have seen, that they are alive and well and doing all the things that they want to do. I had this kid stop me on the street one day. He's like, "Hey, Porter," and I'm like, "Who's that?" And so he walks up, and I'm like, "Who are you?" Because this was a couple years ago that I saw him. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm from the hall. I worked at oh my gosh, I can't speak, at juvenile hall." and and I would talk to the kids there and all that. And I guess whatever I said, which I don't remember, but he said, what you said stuck, and I'm going to college now, and I'm doing well and all this stuff. And I'm like, that is fantastic, dude.
That's
So
huge.
yeah, and us as therapists, we don't usually get that person coming back to say how well they're doing, right? They just end and leave,
Yeah, we
and
don't
that,
always know. Yeah.
right, yeah. So that was, I am so like, yeah,
The cherry on the top right there. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. And
yes.
and what we're talking about here is like there's it could be multiple views on mental health, right? Especially when we talk
Absolutely.
about from a male perspective. And
Hmm.
so I just kind of wanted to point out here too, like we're just offering another way to view
Hmm.
mental health, right? Could
Absolutely.
be other ideas out there, and maybe some even contraindications or even some conflicts of like what we're talking about, but we're offering a kind of a specific perspective.
Absolutely.
And so when you talk about utilizing strengths, right, like you said, engaging in this kind of like emotional regulation and vulnerability, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so how sometimes that can be seen as a strength,
Hmm.
which when we might be taught the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, when we see, I will give a sports thing, because I am into sports. When we see uh, athletes on the field or court or anywhere else, um, and they are losing their cool, they are throwing things, yelling at everyone, fighting. Do we think that that person is in control of their, not control? Do we think that that person has emotional regulation skills or tools? Most times, the answer is no. Or they were taught but not practiced, maybe. And I think the important part is seeing people like that as human beings who are struggling. I never judge. Like, let me go back, because that's a absolute. I don't know if I never judge.
Right. I
um,
know, right, right.
maybe I do,
We do
but
try to show compassion and understanding, right? Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Like, I when I see that, I'm I'm like, okay, he is struggling or she is struggling and they need support. And this moment that we're seeing on TV is a moment, but there's probably a lot more underneath that we need to deal with. And so that's when I think about like, yeah, it's actually going to be a strength of yours to learn these skills, to be vulnerable, to no longer stuff things down and then wait till it blows up at the wrong time. There is no right time. Like when things blow up, it is you have to see it like a volcano, you know, like it blows up and then it's not just you that gets hurt, but then there are people around you that feel the heat too.
Yeah, there are consequences. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then in that volcano analogy, which I use often, right? There's a buildup that happens before.
Right. Exactly.
And you may know for yourself in play, right? Like this, oftentimes these things will happen in the heat of the moment, right?
Yes.
So whenever we find, whenever we're like under extreme stress or these kind of extreme situations, like that's where it's bound to happen. And so to your point, it takes practice, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
takes practice in order for us to develop these new habits, especially if we've been taught, and in some cases even modeled, you know,
Yeah.
throughout our lives for how long, how many years, right? So it's not an
Yeah.
easy overnight matter.
Yeah. And a quick piece here is that mindfulness matters here. Awareness of yourself matters here. And that's when, so even if, say, it happens, right? How quickly do we think back and say, okay, that probably wasn't the right approach? So I want folks to go from it being like a week from the uh from that moment to like a couple days, that day, till it comes to a point where it like you blow up and then immediately you're like, wait, hold up, let me take a moment here, let me take a breath here, you know. So then it gets to the point, like the pro move is you feel it bubbling up and then you do things to help yourself in that moment to not let it explode. And that's when you're okay, you know.
And that's
um
where even support systems can come into play. Like if we have a
Absolutely.
trusting person, like a teammate, right? They can say, hey man, you're getting to
Yeah.
that, right? Hand gesture or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
to kind of like help them kind of like de-escalate.
Coaches are great. Coaches, trainers, anyone of the staff, they are great with like being that being that person that can, you know, have that keyword or that motion that just tells you like, take a breath, you know, like, yeah. So I want all our folks to just make sure that they have at least one person they can go to that knows like some type of word or anything to get you back on track. And then after the game, we're like, whatever, we can talk more about it. And yeah, but in that moment, yeah, it's important to just see like, okay, we are using these skills in real time and we are going to move through it and not try to stuff it down, you know.
Well,
So
and I think part
yeah.
of the trick could be too is to get people to see that, the explosion in some cases oftentimes would be like, hey, it's all right. Like there's a reason behind it, right? There's,
There is.
and
Yeah.
so, but to also help them see, okay, well, there could be intent and reason for offering this other way as well, right? So
Hmm.
it's about kind of getting that buy-in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say, kind of like in closing here, like what would you say are like a couple takeaways that people can practice on their own, Like, what
Yeah.
would you encourage?
I would encourage, number one, if you are hesitant to get into therapy because you don't want to tell people your business or you think it's soft, I would encourage you to think about how things are going for you so far. And if nothing changes, do you really feel like things will be better for you if nothing changes? And if the answer is no, then I would encourage you to be open to talking to someone, anyone, not just anyone, someone that fits what you might be struggling with.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And in fact, people don't their confidentiality, which is huge in therapy, right? Like that is there, so they don't have to tell anyone that they're on
Right.
therapy in therapy
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. So that is a huge thing too. Like people have to, even kids, like, yes, your parents might be involved, but that involvement, a good therapist will not just go to your parent and just run their mouth about everything that you just said in succession, right? That is not what we do. But I have heard from other like teens and stuff, if they've been in their therapy, but before, like they come in to see me, and I ask like how were things in the past with therapy, and they would say, well, it sucked because my therapist would go behind my back and like talk to my mom or dad about blah 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 blah. And so transparency is huge,
And consent, yes.
and consent, yes. And so to just make sure we are all on the same page here, you know. So anyway, so
Yeah, I
that,
love that, man. Yeah.
yeah. And for my athletes, I would say find one thing that you can do that will regulate you. For one thing that I love is combining counting and breathing. So a 5 4 3 2 1 breathing thing is perfect. Another one is and that is great for if you are too hyped before a game or match or like whatever, where you're like shaking, right? Then arousal is way too high. So then let's bring it down and bring it down to a place where we feel focused and ready to go. So that is great for that. But just tactile too, like touching the grass, like grabbing the like ball, or just feeling things. It's a way to ground. Oh, sorry.
Activating the senses, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because that's what will be the grounding, right? Is getting in the body and into the body. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And finding that one thing that works for them and practice it well, right?
Practice.
Yeah.
Practice. Practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice. That
Yeah.
is, yeah. You can't just learn a thing and then expect to have it work if you've never practiced it. Like,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Well, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, and
yeah.
really enjoyed this chat.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I enjoyed this too. Like it's cool to talk about my passion and my work.
Thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to listen to our next episode as we explore various aspects of how to show up for ourselves and others by tending to our own mental and emotional well-being.